After finishing a simple ball bounce in one place, we can move on to a bit more complex assignment and do another ball bounce. Only this time it will not be a cycle, but a complete animation of a bouncing ball across the screen until it comes to a full stop. Here's our previous scene. Now we can hide it and turn on the visibility for the various balls display layer. So here we have 3 different types of balls. I will be animating a soccer ball, and you can do that with me. Later, go back to the scene and use the other balls to create some variations of the bouncing ball assignment. That way, you'll have a chance to explore different timing and spacing and fully understand the concept. Okay, so in order for us to easily animate the soccer ball without any distractions, we need to hide the other 2 balls. We can do that by going to the outliner. Here, select the bowling ball _ global group, then hit the H to hide it. Then do the same with the tennis ball _ global group. That way we hid all the controls. Now we need to hide the geometry as well, so select the tennis ball geo group and bowling ball geo group and hit the H. Now let's set up our scene and turn off all the selectability options except for the NURBS curves. And also, let's extend the timeline to, let's say, 100 frames. Later, we can adjust the number if we need to. Since we're going to animate a bouncing ball across the screen, we will be working with 2 axes. So in this task, we'll not only be animating the ball in the vertical axis, but also in the horizontal one. Because we'll be working with 2 axes and not 3, we won't be using a perspective mode while animating. It will be easier if we worked either in the front view or the side view, so you can pick either of those 2. I'm going to choose the side view. Now we can select all the controls and hit the S on the first frame. Then select the global offset control and move the ball to its starting position on the left side of the screen and up in the air. Alright, so that is our starting position. Let's also hide the outliner by clicking on its name. That way we'll have more space in the viewport, and now we can move our ball a little bit further to the left. Let's go to frame 80, or perhaps 90 would be even better, and bring the ball to the other side. Open up the graph editor and go to Translation Z. We see that going from the left side to the right, our ball has a slow out and a slow in. We do want our ball to slow down at the end, but when it starts its movement, we want it to be at a constant speed. So select the first key and click on this icon to make a linear spline. Now our ball at the beginning of the animation is moving at a constant speed, and then it slows down before reaching the end. We have our movement in the Translation Z axis. Now we can start blocking out the lowest points of the ball when it hits the ground. Let's go 12 frames ahead and bring our ball down. Now, after hitting the ground, our ball will reach its next highest position 2 frames earlier than before, so in 10 frames. And with each contact of the ground, we will be removing 2 frames. Bring the ball up, only this time its highest position will be lower than it was before. So the position you're looking for is not 2 times lower than before, but somewhere above it while staying below the previous highest point. So in the first highest pose, our ball was here, and now we'll have it somewhere here. Now we need to go 10 frames ahead because we need the same amount of time that we took to reach this position after hitting the ground to drop back to the ground. Sorry, this keyframe should be on frame 22, because we need 10 frames to jump up and then 10 frames to fall down. So on frame 32, the ball hits the ground again. Then in 8 frames. So on frame 40, we go up again. In 8 more frames, we hit the ground. Then in 6 frames, so on frame 54, we should bring the ball up again. 6 frames, we hit the ground. Then 4 frames, Same thing, the ball goes up, then hits the ground. Now at the end, we're losing energy in smaller amounts, so we can remove 1 frame instead of 2 and go 3 frames forward. So on frame 71, bring the ball up, then down. Then in 2 frames, we go up, and then down. Then 1 frame forward, a little bit up. Finally, let's bring the ball up one last time, and then the ball stops jumping and slides a little bit. All right, let's look at the timing that we have. I think the timing looks right. Now, let's look at the translation Y channel. Here we can see how our ball, while bouncing across the screen, loses its energy, and every time it bounces, it reaches a lower position than before. So, gets lower, lower, and lower until it stops. Just like we did in our previous exercise, here we need to fix the keys when the ball contacts the ground. Let's select all the contact poses, all the lowest keys, and break the tangents so that we could bring the curve up just like we did before. Don't forget to zoom in on the curve and check the smallest parts, whether the curve is not overshooting any of the keys. Also make sure the curve is kind of equal on both sides of the bounce. Now let's check the animation. Alright, so our ball properly bounces across the screen. Now we can add some rotation to it. On the first frame, we have already saved a key. So let's go to frame 90, since that is the frame when the ball reaches its final position on the right and stops moving. Set a key here by hitting the S and rotate the ball a few times. Let's go to Rotation X channel. Here we want to do the same thing like we did in the translation Z channel, because just like with translation, we want the rotation of the ball to change at a constant speed at the beginning. So make this key linear, and then we want the rotation to slow down at the end. Let's see if we have enough rotation. If you want the ball to rotate more times, then select the last key in the rotation channel and bring it down to increase the amount of rotation. Also, I think I'll bring my rotation key a few frames later, so that when the ball stops its horizontal movement, it would still rotate just a little bit. If our object's channels stop at different times, we get a little bit of overlap, which makes the action more believable. Let's look at the animation without the NURBS curves. I'm quite happy with the animation. One more thing. Leave a few frames at the end after our animation finishes. In our case, the animation stops at frame 92, but we have our timeline extended to 100 frames, so that the viewer has 8 frames to notice that our ball stops, and 8 frames is enough time for the viewer's eyes to catch all the details. I recommend you try this exercise a few times and play with the timing and spacing to get a different feeling ball bounce. You can use the other balls that you have in your scene, the bowling ball and a tennis ball, and try and convey their weight and other characteristics that your chosen ball might have. To bring the other balls back to the viewport, go to the outliner, select the hidden groups, and hit the H to unhide them. Let's go to the other camera mode to see all of them clearly. If the animation that you already have is distracting your attention from the other balls, you can move them to a separate layer. Select everything that you want to move and click this icon to create a separate layer out of your selection. You should name all your layers. Now you see that if I hide the layer called various_balls, the other two balls disappear and our ball which we moved to a new layer stays visible. So now I'm able to focus on its animation. You can do the same thing with the tennis ball as well. Select everything that belongs to that ball and hit this button. Okay, so now I have each ball on its separate layer and can start animating each of them individually without any other distractions. Later, if I need to compare the animations, I can just turn the visibility on the chosen layers and see them all at once. Don't forget to turn off the mesh selectability so you wouldn't key the ball mesh itself. All right, have fun with it and experiment.